classic hits and today's biggest tunes. Six Sounds Radio.
Okay, we're back in the studio and we're talking to Josh Pieters. We've got him from Burslem Cricket. Morning, Josh. How are you?
Morning. Good. Thanks, and yourself?
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you. Now, that's not a Stoke accent, is it?
No, not quite. Accent from quite far away.
Yeah, that's a South African accent.
It is indeed, yeah.
And it's your first time over from South Africa?
Yeah. I finished school at the end of last year.
Yeah.
And then played cricket in South Africa for the rest of the summer until April, and then made my way over here.
Now, that sounds strange. Summer finishing in April.
Yeah. A little different.
This is our summer. How's this?
It's about 10 degrees colder than our winter.
10 degrees colder than your winter, so you're really not used to this weather.
No, but I'm adapting quite fast. So.
Yeah, and I mean, it's so important for you in terms of conditions, bowling.
Yeah, definitely.
How are you finding that compared to home?
Well, I found while bowling, I actually don't mind the cold too much because it keeps you cool back home. In the summer, you're bowling and it's the temperature's getting up to 30. So, I mean, it's a lot more tiring, obviously, and strenuous on the body bowling in that heat. So, yeah, when the temperature's a bit cooler, it's nice to bowl. But when you're fielding and you're not doing so much activity, you get pretty cold. Never fielded in so much clothing in my life. So
is that in terms of... what about the ball and how it's affecting your bowling?
Yeah, I think the ball here, I thought it would swing more, but I don't know, I haven't been getting it to swing so much. But off the pitch, it seems to move a lot more than in South Africa. In South Africa, I moved the ball more in the air, but here it's all off the pitch. I think that could be because the pitches have a lot more moisture in them than in South Africa, so yeah.
Yeah, so... And you're still adapting to conditions. I think you took 4 wickets.
Yeah, I've taken 3 wickets so far. I've bowled nicely, nice economy and stuff. Just haven't yet come into wickets. But I think if I just keep going the way I'm going, they'll come along.
And again, it's probably getting used to your home track as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Finding out where the best spots and things like that are.
I think from each game I've improved a little bit more as I've gone on here. So I think I'll only get better as time goes on. It's obviously it's quite tough to adapt your first few games.
A bit of a frustrating week for you last week in terms of you got Wood Lane, who finished pretty well last season. And they're struggling a little bit this season. And you were, I think you were trying to get them out, weren't you? And couldn't manage it. Time beat you.
I mean, with the rain in that game, we ideally needed to bowl first so that we could try to bowl them out and chase down the runs. But they stuck us in, and I think we posted 180 or was it 180 or 150 or so. And then we only had about 22 overs to try bowl them out because of the weather. So, I think we got 3 or 4 wickets, but it was always going to be a big ask to bowl them out in 23 overs.
And just in terms of people that obviously can't see Josh, Josh is a 6'7", left arm fast bowler.
Yeah.
So what sort of pace do you reach, Josh?
At the moment, I don't know what it would be in miles, but in kilometres, about 130 k's an hour, maybe a bit less, bit more. Do you know what that would be in miles? About
I'm looking down the studio.
78.
About 78, something like that. I would guess at that.
Yeah, but I'm obviously hoping to get a bit faster as I get a bit bigger and fill out a bit more.
So you're going to get bigger and fill out more?
Hopefully,
I forget you're only 70, so yeah. So in terms of heroes, inspirations, who do you look to?
Well, definitely Dale Steyn, of course, coming from South Africa. Just a big inspiration in terms of fast bowling and but South Africa's whole bowling attack's obviously an inspiration. Mono, Morkel, Philander, Steyn, all of them are just such great bowlers and a big inspiration to all young bowlers back home.
And I think the people like Morkel have played in the same league as you're playing in now, so they started their career here.
That was definitely a big pulling factor for me to come here when they mentioned that the Morkels had played here and Sotsobe and a whole lot of other guys. That obviously was a big pull factor to come here and play. And
in terms of advice from South Africa and people's opinions there, what was the thoughts on?
Most cricketers I know have done a few seasons overseas, and most professionals, and they say it's one of the most important things they've ever done, coming overseas to play, because you just not only about cricket, but you learn a lot about yourself and about life and stuff like that. So I think it's definitely a crucial part of your career, coming overseas for at least 1 or 2 seasons.
In terms of Stoke-on-Trent, how are you finding that? How are you finding?
Yeah, at first I struggled quite a bit. Obviously, it's a big culture shock for me. The weather and everything like that is very different from back home. But now I'm really getting into it, and I'm really starting to enjoy it.
And the lads up at Burslem Cricket Club looking after you?
Yeah, the guys have been fantastic. They've made me feel at home since the first day I got there. So it's been really cool. Nice club and lovely guys.
Okay, and we can ask Dan to talk about South Africa and England. Dan, have you got any questions?
Yeah. How are the South African-born players perceived over in South Africa playing for England?
There's mixed opinions. Some people just outright hate them, but for me, I can understand and sympathise with those players that came over, and I support what they've done, because it is tough to make a career in South Africa. It's very tough, and it's easier to make a career out of cricket in England. So these guys have come over and they succeeded here, and I don't see a lot wrong with that. Like Kevin Pietersen, for example, he was only playing for Natal, and they weren't even using him as a batsman. He was bowling, and they said he'd never bat and he was useless, and now he's one of the best batsmen in the world. So I think you got to go to the place that suits you the most, and as a cricketer I can understand that. But I think a lot of people who don't actually understand cricket that much would be going, oh, they're disloyal or etc. But I can fully understand why they would come over and play, so I have no problem with it.
Is Kevin Pietersen your favourite South African playing for England? Or
I think he's definitely one of the most successful, but yeah, he is a very entertaining player to watch, so I do enjoy watching him.
And putting you on the spot,
yeah.
If you stayed over here for a few years and qualified to play for England, and you made it to internationals, who would you choose, England or South Africa?
if I could play for South Africa and could play for England, I would have to choose South Africa. I mean, I'm very patriotic about my country, but if I couldn't play for South Africa and I was provided the opportunity to play for England, I definitely would. I mean, you've got to, at the end of the day, you've got to look what's best for yourself and how you can further yourself in your career.
And what players would you look out for coming through from the South Africa squad?
Coming through, who's playing for South Africa at the moment?
Yeah, that's coming into the international team.
Obviously, I don't know if you guys have heard of Carl Abbott, who played the one test against Pakistan. Yeah, he took, I think it was 7 wickets on his debut, and he's been taking a huge amount of wickets in the domestic competition. And it was nice to see that coming through on the international stage. So I'd say he's definitely an up-and-coming. Then also Marchand de Lange, he also just played one test about a year or two ago, and he took 7 wickets on debut, but got an injury. And he's come back now with a new action, and I think he's bowling at around 150 k's an hour, which is around, must be I think 94, 95 miles an hour.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to get in the way of that one.
Yeah, so the competition for bowlers is massive in South Africa, and there's a lot of good bowlers coming through the system.
And which is the biggest sport in South Africa? Is it rugby or is it cricket?
I'd say rugby is definitely still the biggest, but in terms of success at the moment, cricket.
Yeah.
But yeah, rugby is definitely more popular still.
Yeah, they've taken a bit of a downturn, the rugby team, haven't they? Rob, have you got anything else?
Just coming back locally, I mean, are they looking after you in terms of, have you tried oatcakes and things like that yet? Are they
no
ingratiating into the local ways now?
No oatcakes yet, but I've been spending my nights with Jono, and it's been awesome. They've been cooking for me, so getting nice food and stuff like that.
So we'll get Jono get you a typical Potteries breakfast tomorrow.
Okay,
oatcakes, sausage, and
I'll tell him.
Cheese. I think you should go for, mate.
Cool.
Try that, and you won't look back. And you might change your mind in terms of who you're going to play for after eating an oatcake. Josh, it's been really a great pleasure to meet you. Really hope you are successful going forward. Good luck for the rest of the season. Hopefully we can catch up again towards the end of the season, so you can tell us how it's been and talk us through what your season was like just before you head back. Thank you very much for your time.
Cool, thanks very much.
You're listening to the best local sports show. Boots, Bats and Balls on Six Towns Radio.